Hello, I'm Justin Perkins. This is Talk Junkie, and today it's mailbag time. My favorite time of all the times. My favorite time. Got a lot. I had to stop and get out a notebook and read and go over these, and I'm going to have to stop on and off. There's a lot. You got to understand how long I've had these, and some of them are going to be older, some of them are going to be new. I'm going to try to get more towards the new ones. By this point, I've already released the 100th. I don't know how far apart they're released, but I have released the 100th by this point. There were some emails pertaining to it that I printed out. I didn't have for the episode, so we may dig into a couple of those. I don't know. I've got some feedback and stuff. Some people are weird about sending emails, and they want to ask questions, and they want those answered, but they don't want you to use your name. Some people do want their names used, and are very upset if you don't use their names. Put it in the email. I completely and totally don't have the patience or the tolerance to have you get upset with me because I did or didn't mention your name. I don't know. Don't put your name in the email. I put, dearest Talk Junkie, Bob the Builder wants to know. And that's what I'll read. I won't look at the name because some of them, it's going to surprise you. I get trolls and I get troll emails, and I'll look at the name, and sometimes they'll use different names, whatever. Just put what you want to be called in your email. But Malik likes to be called Mal, I believe. But Malik doesn't mind if I use his name. Malik wants to know. We're going to start off with the serious one, just right off the bat. What did I think about the interaction between Don Lemon and Terry Crews? Well, I'm going to tell you, once I read your email, I had to go and watch it because I don't watch the news, especially not Fox or CNN. That's a very dumb move to do either one of those things, and Malik, you shouldn't be doing that either. And I know that you don't. You were very vocal about your point of view. And your point of view would have to have more value on this amount. I'm not an African American. You are. You say you've lived in some pretty rough areas. I have not. It's something that, to me, what Terry Crews said was something that I thought wasn't bad. Like, I don't know. I didn't get the outrage. Like, I'm watching this, and because I've not seen the spin that the media's put on it or that other people's put, I don't know. Like, I don't understand what was wrong. I have no respect for Don Lemon, so I don't know how to approach that. Like, I don't know. Like, he's a vile human. I don't have any respect for him, so there's no place for me to get. Like, I couldn't give you an unbiased response because when I see him, I throw up my mouth a little bit. You know how as soon as Bill O'Reilly talks and then looks at you, how you vomit a little bit in your mouth, and you can taste it, like especially if you've had Italian food. Italian food's real spicy, and you vomit a little bit in your mouth, and it gets that hot, just spicy feeling. Every time he would go, no spin zone, I would do a little bit, just a little bit in my mouth, and it was disgusting, and I couldn't stand it. And I do the same thing, but a lot of times with Don Lemon, it's just his facial expression. He don't even have to say no spin zone because that's not his thing. It's just his face and his facial expressions, and now just a little bit in my mouth, just throw up a little bit in my mouth, So it's hard for me to be unbiased. I would say that that's Terry Crews's opinion, and as an African American, and that's his right to have that opinion. I don't know. Like I'd like to be more educated on that, to where I could tell you if Terry Crews wants to get on there and talk about it for an hour and speak about it as intelligently and as practical as he seemed to in that one soundbite, then I'm fine to listen to it. But I don't have any desire to listen to anything that Don Lemon has to say. Don Lemon's a moron. I don't care what Don Lemon has to say. I don't. Now Malik also hit back with it's your governor. What about your governor? This is a different email. If you don't know, I live in the state of Kentucky. And young Andrew is our governor. And this is going to knock out two birds with one stone. I apparently had, talked bad about young Andrew in another episode. I know that I did. I just can't remember what I said. Numerous things, I'm sure, because I get the same thing about Trump. You said this about Trump, and I said tons of horrible things about Trump, because I don't really know anything good about Trump to say. I don't really know much good about young Andrew to say. Malik wanted to know my feelings on his current actions and things of that nature. I don't know. I don't really know what he's doing. I've gave up hope on it. I quit watching Malik, and that's as deep as I can get on that. We don't have cable or satellite at our home. Any news that we get, we have to actively seek out, read visually, or watch, determine the merit of that news, and do so without Fox, CNN, MSNBC, NBC, ABC, CBS, any of the other three-letter slave makers. I don't use them. So I don't know. I don't know what WKYT, WYMT, any of those IMTs are doing. YMTs. I don't know. Don't have a clue. But from things that I've looked at, I don't know. He's doing what every governor does. You did mention specifically Malik, and again, you'll have a different perspective on this than I do. You didn't feel that initially that you being an African American, you did not feel that it was racist to only offer medical care to African Americans. I did. I felt that was very racist. And as we talked for a while, you kind of understood where I was coming from, and I understood where you were coming from. But it was racist because it makes a difference in the races, and there should be no. We're literally talking about the amount of melanin in someone's skin. Like it's a ridiculous thing that we're arguing about. But I did feel it was that way, and you later, I don't know if I misunderstood that wasn't his original intention, but my response to you was, first of all, this is a bailout for the hospitals that's just being covered up as a goodwill thing, and we both came through days of talking back and forth email. We both come to agreement on that, and I say that a lot of times. So let me preface this for a second. I say we talk back and forth on emails for days, blah blah. There's a reason for that. If you message me on Messenger, I don't very seldom instantly reply because I don't have it set to notify me when you message me. And if you email me, I don't instantly reply because I'm not sitting there thinking, what am I going to say next? What am I going to say next? What am I going to say next? Because I do that during conversations a lot of times. A lot of people do. What I like about the emails and stuff like Malik and myself have is you get an opportunity to get that email, read it, look at it, absorb it, think about it, research what it is you're discussing, then go back with a rebuttal. And it may take 3 days, and there may be 8 emails in 3 days, but you're putting time and effort into that, and it's not just reply, just what comes off the top of your head without thinking, without really considering what you're discussing. And to me, that's how I learn. That's how I learn things I discuss. But anyway, I thought that it was a bailout for the hospitals, because during the coronavirus, the hospitals were at 33% capacity. They were losing money drastically. They're in a bad spot. And hospitals, I don't know if you've noticed this or not, are really important, because without hospitals, a lot more of us would die. They're having to lay off staff and doctors and things of that nature. And in the news, falsely build up the situation of overcrowding and things. By this point, we all know someone who's either working in the medical industry, or myself. I've spoken to someone who has worked in New York multiple times throughout this. It wasn't as crowded, it wasn't as dense, it wasn't as bad as they said it was, and their fear-mongering hurt hospitals. And there's hospitals that are obviously being caught lying about COVID patients and numbers and things of that nature, but they were doing so to survive. Doesn't make it any better, but I felt like giving all of Kentuckians insurance was a way to help Kentuckians and help the hospitals. I did. I felt that way. But I did feel, when it was initially announced just for African Americans, that it was racist. If they'd initially said it was just for white Americans, I would have most definitely thought it was racist. Latin Americans, any type of Americans outside of just American, I would have felt, or Kentuckian, I would have felt was racist. And eventually you came to see my point on that, and I came to kind of understand kind of where you were coming from on a part of it, and that's what discussion does. It kind of gets us there. But that takes care of Malik. Now, Mug sent a message after I'd said bad things about young Andrew, Comrade Andrew, and wanted to know, like, all right, what could you possibly have against? And, in fairness, like at the time when I said the things I said was more really just because I was irritated with him. I don't like any politician. I know he's a liar, and I know he's a crook, and I know he's a thief. He's a politician. Like, I don't, those things are for sure true, to me, maybe I shouldn't just, I don't remember the context of what I said, but whatever it was, he felt I was unfairly attacking young Andrew, and I probably was, but I don't like politicians. See, I truly feel that you have you're going to defend him regardless, because he's your party. I don't have a party, so I'm going to attack with no regard for party, because he's done nothing to help us. The whole coronavirus thing and all these, it's just been an opportunity to slip in things that his party wanted and the people that paid his way into office wanted. And if a Republican if Bevin had been in there, it would have been the same exact thing, except he would have been public and vocal about it. That's, people always go, well, you know what, at least he's not Bevin. Well, I didn't vote for Bevin because I didn't like Bevin, and I thought Bevin was a piece of trash. But no, he's not Bevin. I will say one thing, and it's the only positive thing I could probably ever say about Bevin in the entirety of my life, is at least when Bevin was trying to screw you, he was honest about it. Young Andrew wants to just kind of go, no, we're going to get through this together. We're gonna get through this together. No, you're gonna get through this, and we're gonna get screwed, just like we did under Bevin, and just like we did under your dad, and just like we've done pretty much every time we've ever had a politician, because you're all gonna make the same problems for us. You're going to take care of the people who paid your way into office. So, as for what I don't like about Andrew, the biggest thing for me, the thing that will always stand out and ruined any chance or an opportunity he had whatsoever with me, was call and report your neighbors. This isn't communist China. We don't give out phones and start tracking, but call and report your neighbors. I'm going to give you a 50 spot. Call and report your neighbor who, he's out and he's working, trying to feed his family, because for whatever reason he couldn't get the unemployment in time, couldn't get any of the benefits in time, or couldn't get one of the bailout loans, and he's got a family to feed. And he's saying, just call, here's the 50 spot. Call and report him. I don't like that from any branch of the government, anywhere, ever. I don't. But I'm not, I don't know. That's just how I feel about it. I don't. But again, I'm not married to a party, and I don't have an allegiance to a party. And I know you would say that you don't. And I believe that you really believe that. But I don't believe that your actions and the things you say show that. I don't know. I don't, I don't believe that. To me, and you're a very intelligent and a very articulate and a very thoughtful person, and I could be completely off the mark on it. It's just that's how I feel. But I thought about sitting down and saying, all right, what's this profound thing I can say about Comrade Andrew that there's nothing. I can't name anything I like about him. Other than he's not Bevan. I do kind of like that. But I mean, other than that, it's different side of the same coin. I don't. Guilty Conscience sent in a question, and Guilty Conscience. This is episode 101 is like the new political talk. It's politically incorrect for podcasting because that's all you people are asking right now. And I'm going to tell you, I'm doing this now because there's going to be very little political talk in the next coming episodes because I'm getting burnt out on this stuff. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it now. Guilty Conscience. See? They. I'm not going to give you a pronoun because I don't know what pronoun they go by. I mean, apparently, there's thousands of those things. But they, them, zer, z, whatever, they have an email address. And it has their name in it. I know who they are. But here in the letter, it says, question for Talk Junkie from Guilty Conscience. See how that works? I just refer to them as Guilty Conscience. I know what they want to be referred to when they send the email. And then they don't get mad at me and go, man, why'd you put me on blast on the podcast? I didn't want my name on it. Or they don't go, man, I had a really good point. Why didn't you put my name on it? Right there, I know. This is Guilty Conscience. Guilty Conscience says, should I feel guilty, hence the name, Guilty Conscience, because I don't feel I can vote for Trump or Biden? No, I'm not going to vote for Trump or Biden. I didn't vote for Trump last time. Definitely didn't vote for Hillary. I would vote for Trump and Biden together on a super devil ticket over Hillary. I'm not going to vote. I'm going to vote, even if Gary Johnson's crazy hind-end runs or somebody like that, I'm going to vote third party. And I had a friend say, well, Biden at least is a possibility for something different. Voting third party is not a real option. It's not going to do anything. Yes, it is. It's going to make me use my vote the way I want to use my vote. And if more people would write third party or something of that nature, then it would make a big difference. It would make a huge, huge, huge difference. Because that's how you get another party. That's not rocket science. That's not how I explain to you. There's a way you get term limits. You vote against every single incumbent in the House and Senate. There's a way you get a third party. You always vote third party. That's how it works. If it had not been for third party, the same people who tell me I'm wasting my vote on a third party right now, let me assure you, if it had not been for third party votes in the state of Kentucky, you would have Matt Bevin right now and not young Andrew. That's because I voted third party. That's why you've got him. You're welcome. Or I'm sorry, whichever side of the fence you fall on. I don't know. But should you feel guilty? No, you shouldn't feel guilty. That's exactly what you should do. That's your duty. These people that come out and say, if it's your responsibility as an American to vote. It is, just not for the two parties that continually screw you. There's no difference in Biden and Trump. Well, there is. Biden's a dementia patient and Trump's a narcissist. But still, it's not really that different. All right? If Trump's going to grab you by the box, Biden's going to whisper in your ear. They both feel uncomfortable. Nobody wants to do that. The best way I've ever heard this scenario explained is by Brody and Maurits. You ever spoon with somebody? I mean, really sleep with somebody. Really sleep with them all night. And you go to spoon and you go to lay down, and the one arm goes around them, but the other arm you either got to put it under the head, like Trump. Well, my shoulder's all out of whack, so I can't do that. I can't. It'll be uncomfortable all night. Or I could stick it between us, like with Biden. But then your arm goes to sleep and it's all weird and numb. There's nowhere to put your arm. So, I don't want to spoon either one of them. But I do want to vote third party. And that's what I'm going to do. In guilty conscience, you have no reason to feel guilty for doing that. I think you knew I'd say that, otherwise you wouldn't have asked me that question. But no, you don't have any. I've got bad news for you. Let me explain to you what happened. I don't know exactly when it took place, but I would assume it took place under Bush Sr. Bush Sr. is one of the most powerful men to ever live. Talking CIA, talking vice president, talking cabinet member, you're talking president of the United States. He should have gotten his second term. But in all fairness, Reagan had done had 8. Bill Clinton, who I refused to recognize as a president, got in office for 8 years. And by the time he was out of office, I think they just sat down and said, hold on. The most you can do is 2 terms. Right? Now, dig this. In 2 terms, in 8 years, all the people that's funneling a president money, I'm talking about special interest groups. I'm talking about NRA. Really, it doesn't matter which party either. The NRA's filtering money generally to both parties. Whatever company, interest group, outreach, whatever it is, whatever foreign entity, Halliburton, whoever it is, imagine the money that your party could make in 8 years compared to 4. Let's do this. Let's give you 8 years as president. Unless you're just a complete idiot or we can't control you, you get 8 years as president. And then the other party gets 8 years as president. And that's the way we don't need these stupid voters. The news will manipulate them, and then if they can't, look, more dead people have voted for Democrats in my lifetime than living, and Republicans have bought more votes than they've earned, so we can control the vote count. Let's get 8 years per party. Now, in that 8 years, 4 years of that will give you a Democrat House and Senate if you're a Democrat, and 4 years of it will give you a Republican House and Senate if you're a Democrat, and vice versa. So for 4 of the years, you get total control, and the other 8, we'll split it up, but everybody gets to make money that way. So Clinton got his 8. He played sax, and, he wasn't grabbing people by the box. He was literally, he didn't say, I'm going to grab somebody by the box 10, 15 years before being elected in closed doors because he's an insecure little man who nobody really loves or wants and is attracted to. No, he literally touched an intern on the box in the Oval Office. But in those 8 years, and I love that argument, but in those 8 years, and box touching and cigar smoking and ruining upholstery and dresses and stuff, in that 8 years, they decided, hey, let's let him make his money for 8 years. And George and Rumsfeld and Cheney, all who have CIA connections and White House connections all the way back, I believe the Nixon years? I'm not sure. Maybe Kennedy. I don't know. I think Kennedy. I think Bush was in there and Kennedy. So, yeah, but he didn't get his, Big G Senior. He didn't get his 8 years. Well, let's put his kid in there. Oh, the smart one, Jeb? No. No, the other smart one, he sounds dumb. Yeah. I mean, he went to Harvard. He's a skull and bones. Let's stick him in there. Little George? Yeah, Little George. Let's give Little George 8 years. Nobody thought this was a bad idea. Hell, I thought it was a good idea. I used to be somewhat brainwashed. I used to be a lot brainwashed. I thought it was a great idea. Give Little George 8 years. So we had some wars, and we got scared, and Halliburton made a ton of money, and Cheney ran the country while Little George read books to children in Florida. And for 8 years, Little George got to reign. Then a guy came out, a guy that sounded very promising, a guy that I believe scared a lot of politicians, Barack Obama. And he got elected. And I believe they were worried. They were worried that, hold on, we can't control this guy. It's not going to happen. What are we going to do? How are we going to get 8 years of the guy we can't control? And then it became very apparent that this dude, his strings are some of the easiest to pull. He'll bomb whole countries, schools and all, with drones and never hit the right people and not even mention it. And CNN don't care. So they decided, all right, we'll get Obama. And you say, well, how are they sure? Well, one, they can control the votes, but two, who ran against Obama that was a good choice to vote for? Oh, go ahead, I'll wait. You name one. Exactly. Then they get Trump. They didn't want Trump. They thought they was getting Jeb. I thought they was getting Jeb. I mean, come on. It's the Bush Empire, They could have put Cheney back in there as vice president. He could have ruled the country. Jeb could have wandered around, playing golf, saying nothing of any substance whatsoever, and reading books to kids in schools in Florida. I don't know why, but Bush is really like that. His brother's a heck of a painter. Little George can paint. Maybe they could paint together. I don't know what he would have done for 8 years, but I figured it was Jeb for 8 years. And then the people kind of shocked him, I think, and went with the Donald. Just because he's a reality TV show, and we're a vain, horrible group of people. And it was the Republicans' turn. And I think they really felt like, okay, this guy just wants money. We can buy him off. So how do you make sure this idiot gets elected? Well, the same way you made sure Obama got elected twice. You put the worst possible candidates against him. The worst possible candidate? Hillary Clinton. Boom. You get 4 years of Trump. And within the first month of Trump, I think they were all shaking their head going, we can't control this guy. This guy can't control this guy. This guy's a moron. We can't speak for him. He can't speak for us. He don't even know what he's going to say. He's jacked up on Adderall or whatever it is and eating cheese puffs all day. He don't sleep. He's got billions of dollars. He's married to a supermodel and he's got weird hair. You can't control somebody like that. It's not possible. He's the Joe Exotic of presidential candidates. No way we'll get anybody to vote for him again. No way anybody is voting for him again. Oh, wait a minute. Let's just put a dementia patient against him. Just put Joe Biden against him. You don't want to vote for the Joe Exotic of politicians again? Just how gay are you? Or how straight are you? Because we're going to give you one other option besides him. Joe Biden. 4 more years of Donald. So you get 4 more years of Donald. Regardless. They don't have a guilty conscience over it. It's not your choice. You're not going to get to make the choice. Vote third party, and hopefully one day we can get enough people to vote third party that we actually have a third party. Because if you vote for Biden, you wasted your vote, even if he wins. And if you vote for Trump, you wasted your vote, even if he wins. And I've seen now 2 of these beautifully crafted, immaculate arguments on how much different the world would be if Joe Biden wins. And I see no substance, proof, or anything to substantiate in them that that's true. One gentleman said, that the least you could do is not be a racist and vote for Joe Biden over Donald Trump. Well, Joe Biden was part of the Obama administration, and under the Obama administration, my understanding statistically is African-American home ownership and African-American wealth went down to some of its lowest points. It's also my understanding that African-American unemployment was at some of its highest. See, those are just numbers. Those are just things that they can change. Those are things that we can change as people. We don't need politicians to change those things. But if they're hurting those things, if they're impacting those things negatively, well, don't pretend that they're doing it. It's like poor people voting for Republicans, like African-American people voting for Democrats. They have a record of sticking it to you, but you have this undying desire to support them. So no, I do not have a guilty conscience, and you shouldn't either. I'm voting third party. I will continue to vote third party until there's a third party to vote for. Then I will vote fourth party. Two options. It's like two fingers on the same hand, and they both smell like, well, you know, it's not an option. No, you don't have to have a guilty conscience. But don't take my word for it. Do the research. Look into it. Think what you want to think. See what you want to see. But I really believe that they're just in 8-year terms now. That way they can make the most money possible in 8 years and spit it back out. Now, Michael sent possibly my favorite email. Talk Junkie, I know from things you've said in the past that you listen to Dan Carlin's Hardcore History. I also know that you are a learned man, which I'm not a learned man. I don't even know where he gets that from. But hey, I like it. You know, I mean, it works. And I believe you to be an educated man. Again, not true, in regards to history. I would assume, based on things I've heard you say and discussions that you and I have had over email, that you yourself are a staunch defender of history. And in saying that, I need to know if you are appalled at the blatant disregard for history that is currently happening in the United States of America right now. And I myself would like to know how you feel about the illegal removal of statues and monuments to historical landmarks and historically important people. Well, Michael would say this from the bottom of my heart. If you go to North Korea, Kim Jong-un is obsessed with the 96 Chicago Bulls. You know what Kim Jong-un don't know? Who lost to the Chicago Bulls in round 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals? I don't even know that. Now I'm a huge Bulls fan. If you go to Rome, there were monuments built to monsters, people who were bad people. But they were winners. And consequently, because of their actions and the fact that they were monsters, their monuments were torn down, pushed over, or whatever. If you go to Iraq, there's no more monuments to Saddam Hussein. If you go to Germany, I don't even know if you'd find a picture outside of a museum where it would belong of Adolf Hitler. You don't build monuments to monsters, regardless of their color. That's to say, you don't build monuments to slave owners, white or black. And then everyone will say, well, that was what happened back in those days. Okay, well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. Imagine you've got a small child, and starting today, everyone's required to be Catholic. And starting today, the priests are allowed to take your small children and keep them for weeks at a time. And we're going to build monuments to them regardless of what they do to your kids. And hey, you don't get an opportunity to complain because it's just the way things are today. Now, 100 years from now, if they decide to change the way things are, well, then we can't control what they do. But that's the way things are today. Build monuments to monsters. That's what we do. Well, no, we don't do that. That's idiotic. We wouldn't do that. We should have never done that. But the most important thing is the people I see worried so greatly with these monuments are patriots. Americans who live, bleed, and die for the red, white, and blue. It's on their underwear. They've got it tattooed on. They name their children Liberty, Justice, and they got this one kid that's kind of cross-eyed. They named him Aim for All, but that's beside the point. They are diehard Americans. And the only thing they're worried about is saving the honor and respecting the Confederate flag. It's history lesson time, boys and girls. The Confederate flag was flown in battle against the United States of America. By definition, mutiny. They're traitors. Traitors to their country. The country that you live and die for. You cannot be sexually aroused without hearing the national anthem, yet you want to fly the flag of a country that opposed your country in battle. Tried to sabotage it and destroy it from within, just so they could keep slaves and keep more of the profit they make from having slaves. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the Union, by any stretch of the imagination, well, you know what, let's free slaves. Let's go to war with the South. No. A lot of slaves were fighting for the South, and they went, oh man, we're going to get outnumbered here, and we're going to lose to people from Mississippi. What are we going to do? Well, I mean, I don't know. So if the slaves fight for us, well, they don't want to fight for us. Let's make them free. Well, check. There you go. Now they're fighting for us. You know, it's not like they were really good guys in this, but again, you're super patriotic. I don't understand that. And now this is the big one that gets me. Michael, I would assume, and this is me assuming, and anytime you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. I would assume, even though I shouldn't, that you're the type of guy who doesn't like participation trophies. And the reason you don't like participation trophies is because you feel like people should have to earn that win. And kids got to know the difference between winners and losers. Got to know the difference between winners and losers. It's imperative that they know the difference between winners and losers. A monument to Robert E. Lee, who lost the Civil War, is history's most gleaming example of a participation trophy. They aren't tearing down historically important monuments. They're tearing down the participation trophies of a war that was fought on American soil. Robert E. Lee is the participation statue. It's the equivalent of a participation trophy. You didn't win. If you didn't win, you don't get a trophy. Right? I mean, I'm sure that you would agree with me on that. Well, if you didn't win, you don't get a monument. I heard something about somebody saying, never mind. I'm not even going to get on that. Let's stay on the participation trophy award, because I personally think some kids are only ever going to get a participation award. And I don't know how I feel about those participation trophies. I really don't. I got a son that, he's not athletic. He got one for basketball. Made him really happy. It's my responsibility as a parent to teach him to work harder, to strive for things, to try to be his best. If getting one trophy, one time, a participation trophy, if getting 5 participation trophies throughout his childhood prevents him from doing that, maybe I just didn't do my job. Maybe it's not the trophy's fault. Maybe I'm just a shit parent. I don't know. Oh yeah, I forgot. But I don't know. But it doesn't mean that he did something wrong. And it doesn't mean that the trophy did something wrong. means more than likely I probably didn't do my job. I don't know. But no, Michael, I think they should take these, and I forget whose idea it was. Somebody had an idea. Take these things, drag them up, drag them out of these harbors, take them with other paint on them, put them in museums, and let them serve a real historical purpose to say, hey, don't build participation trophies for historical figures who were losers.